about UAE, just like there's nothing minute about USA. So before I went to UAE, all that I had an idea about UAE was that it belongs somewhere in the map, and I had to look very hard, and I had to make sure the lights are here, to dim it. And UAE is somewhere here. So this is Arab Emirates. It's across the coast. So I knew I was going to see some really coastline, and it was going to be fun, and I wanted to make sure that so I set up with 3 of us, and this is what we saw. This is the Gulf of the Oman Sea, and this is the skyline of UAE. I was thinking maybe smaller buildings, maybe I didn't know what to expect. But there are 3 things which I look for when I go to a new country. Is the same thing we do at Toastmasters. Is what did I see, what did I hear, and what did I feel? I would say I didn't make much of what did I hear because I don't know Arabic. So whatever they're talking didn't make. So I had to rely on my other senses as to what did I see. So my right side of my brain was kind of almost highlighted by all the things which I saw, and then what I felt about it. I would not talk about too much about the social, cultural, that gets a bit political, and it becomes a bit dicey. But it is a landscape which is changing as I've not seen anywhere. Just to tell you that we went and spoke in a conference and we were there. These are the 3 mayor doctors. This is the Sheikh Khalifa Medical Center Hospital. This is Dr. Newman, and this is Dr. Mundell. All 3 from a division, so we went there and we thought, let's have some fun. This is the kind of Toastmaster experience which you are trying to build towards. When you're good at it, people call you, and I could have got a Toastmaster experience there, got some award for my visual slides, and they said they could not read my slides. But the hall was full of people, and I've never spoken to so many doctors from Middle East as I did in this conference. So that was an interesting experience. It went very well. But this is an interesting building. Then they put us in a car and they said, well, we like to take care of our host, so why don't you go and have fun? But this is a building which I have never seen before. These are 2 twin towers. As you can see, this got this interesting cover around it. And these small units, they open up or close based on the amount of sun or sunlight they want to have. So when it gets too hot, this closes, shuts. As you can see, these are some open areas out here, and this building kind of there are some open areas out here, and then it shuts. When the light falls, it shuts down. So it regulates the amount of light which was coming, and that I thought was very interesting. This is the second largest mosque. It's called Sheikh Zayed Mosque, completely made of marble. And this is humongous. It has got about 56 domes on it, and we were like clicking our iPhones like crazy. This is the interior of it, which has all these pillars. There's one on the left side, one on the right side. There are about literally hundreds of these, and they are all made of marbles. And you can see this motif kind of marble, and a lot of designs intertwined like a grape, and all kinds of designs on it. And these are also stuck to it. These are not made of gold, but like gold plastic things which are stuck on it. I went in one of the main prayer halls. This is the prayer hall. This carpet itself is over 2 kilometers in length. It took, they said, about 1,500 women in Iran 2 years to make this carpet. These are rich, tiny human beings like us. It gives you an idea. This is a chandelier. There are 3 of them, one here, and one on the north side. These were made in Germany. Literally thousands of lights. And they just, this intricate design all throughout. And I cannot even imagine how much, it cost about $1.2 billion, but if it was to be made in US, it would be $2 billion, because the labor cost is cheaper there. So that was the Sheikh Zayed. And then you must have heard of the Etihad Airways. That's the airway we took to go there. These are the Etihad Towers. for some reason, as you can see, these buildings converge. And I was at the Palace Hotels here, which is the only 7-star hotel. We've heard of 5-star. I didn't stay there, we just went to visit. That's all we could afford, to just go and see it, say hi, hello, how things are, you know. So this is the interior of the Palace Hotel, and shining, all marble. Actually, to make things comfortable, I went and sat in the chair. I didn't order anything. You could order coffee, but I sat and maybe took a couple of deep pauses to just get my money's worth. This is the roof of it. Again, this is just giving a very slight. You cannot take an elevator and go up. People live here, so there are guards out here who prevented us from doing it. Jamie Newman had a shorts, and I was also having some shorts, and we were like looking like, you know, kids from the street of Minnesota want to go in, and they didn't want us to do that. This is actually a gold ATM. You can put in your money and get gold. So these are different kinds of gold stuff you want. I know Tanya, if she goes, she won't like to have this bigger one. This price is updated every second or so, or every 60 seconds, the price changes, the gold, based on the thing. So I went, I looked at it for 5 minutes, didn't buy anything. This is our competition. This is Cleveland Clinic. Was built up a huge building there, 10-story, like looks like gold, Gonda building. Has not opened yet, might open, but this would be our competition in UAE. An amazing, amazing building. This is me with a falcon there. It's very common there. We went to one of the heritage park and looked at this falcon. Then we took a cab and went to Dubai. Anybody knows this building design? This is actually not a casino, but this particular building is humongous. It's actually a resort here, the beach here, and you can't go to the resort. Everything is covered. So we could go to an area which they allowed and another area which we couldn't. This is the highest building in the world. This is 219 floors. It's called Burj Khalifa. It's got 929 meters. The next highest building is about 600 meters. Tells you how high it is. This is another view of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It was supposed to be Burj Dubai, but they ran out of money. The guy who gave the money was Khalifa. He said, change the name to my name. So it became Burj Khalifa. This is gold. This is the gold market we went. I was so happy my wife didn't go with me. So this is all gold, and she would have gone bonkers if she had seen this. This is all gold and gold. Yeah, it's like too much money there. This is Burj Khalifa at night. This is how it looks on a regular day. It looks like it's Christmas going on every day. They have all these palm trees in Dubai which is covered. And next to the Burj Khalifa is the largest mall in the world, Dubai Mall. They used to laugh at me when we said, did you go to Mall of America to see this? We could swallow 3 Mall of America and Dubai Mall. And I went and saw it, you have to believe it. Finally, I had to end up with this camel. I love the camel. Some people were giving kisses to it. I actually didn't do that. I just went and posed a picture. But Abu Dhabi and camel is great. So, as I said, I saw a lot, learned about the culture, and it's only great memories I have, and hopefully I'll get a chance to go sometime again in the future.
Tis the season for tidings of comfort and joy. Comfort and joy. Our comfort level is far too minute in our life, and I think we all need to add more comfort. And so I'm going to be talking about that in my speech today. Fellow Toastmasters, and there are no guests today. How are you all feeling right now? Are you comfortable? Are your feet sore? Does your back hurt? Are you worried about things? Is your mind racing? Are you not thinking about my speech right now? My husband and I are always joking about how we really love comfort, and we actually do joke about this. And if you were to stop by our house on any given day during the week, when we're not working, any time of the day, and stop by, there's a 99% chance we would answer the door wearing pajamas. Seriously. I'll talk about comfort today, and I'll start by talking about why comfort is important, how you can add more comfort into your life, and then also end with some situations where we should probably set our comfort level aside and accept a little bit of discomfort. So why is comfort important? I did an internet search on this, and it's actually surprisingly hard to find research on just the general topic of just comfort. Instead, what I found were ads for climate control systems, shoes, pants, things like that. But maybe I couldn't find anything because it's really pretty obvious. Comfort makes us feel good. And when we don't feel good, maybe our stress level goes up a little bit. And there's a lot of research showing that too much stress can be bad for your health. If you're not very comfortable, you might not be sleeping very well. Sleep also is very important to our health, right? Comfort just helps us feel better, helps us to feel good. Comfort is needed in all areas of our life. Physically, in the clothes we wear, the food we eat, what we drink, in our environment, the temperature of the room, the music we listen to, where we sit, where we sleep, even the colors that surround us. And comfort is also important in our interactions with others, through physical touch and through verbal communication. So how can we add more comfort to our life? Well, the concept is really simple, right? You identify an area where you're not comfortable and you reverse it, right? And it's not always straightforward, and adding comfort isn't always possible. Like when you're in a meeting, at work, when you're giving a speech during Toastmasters, when you're waiting to give your speech in Toastmasters, or even if you're getting a root canal tomorrow. But trying to put some effort into being more comfortable is always worth the effort. For example, during your last holiday meal, were you uncomfortably full? Ironically, after eating too much comfort food? Next time, wear stretchy pants. Or don't eat so much. Do your feet hurt? Get some different shoes. It's all pretty obvious. Getting a root canal tomorrow? Laughing gas. So being comfortable is very important in all areas of our life. And we can also improve our mental comfort by trying to decrease our stress level. And by doing that, you could practice deep breathing, meditation, exercise, or practicing mindfulness. And you should also learn to not take anything too seriously when you have the privilege of doing that. And remember to laugh, because laughter releases endorphins, and that can help us to soothe our tension and to relieve our stress response. And oftentimes, our comfort level suffers when we try to maintain an image. How many of you were cold when you walked into work this morning? Or yesterday, when it was actually so cold? How many of you wear a hat? Or don't because you're worried about your hair? Next time, put a hat on. Don't be so worried about what your hair looks like. Don't be worried about what other people think of you. You need to be comfortable with yourself. You just need to be more comfortable with your own self. And comfort itself is also a verb. Think about how you can add comfort to somebody else's life through smiling with them, giving them an encouraging word, giving them a hug when they need it, and when they want it. Not everybody likes hugs. Sometimes a pat on the back is sufficient. Now, there's a time and place for everything, and there's also a time when we need to allow ourselves to be a little uncomfortable. Like when we're challenging ourselves and when we're learning new things. That's the kind of discomfort that can help us to grow. And the sense of accomplishment that we feel afterwards makes it all very worth it. Also, when we're exercising, that's not always the most comfortable thing in the world to do, but it's good for our health. And really, sitting on your couch all day long and maybe knitting isn't always the best thing to do for your health. In conclusion, comfort is defined as a state of physical ease and freedom from pain or constraint. Give yourself permission to be more comfortable. To the women in the room, trade in your high heels for some very attractive loafers. I don't own any high heels. I would fall if I did. And for the men, wear a clip-on tie next time. No one will know, and even better, don't even wear a tie. I was able to convince my husband that ties are completely unnecessary. He does not wear them at work anymore. But he has the ability to do that in his job. And when you get home tonight, put on a pair of stretchy pants, open up a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, because we still have a couple of weeks before our resolutions are needed, right?
Thank you, Chris. How much time do you think about the future? Now, we all are very busy and we think about what's going to happen tomorrow and next month and maybe next year. And that's about the most future we talk about, think about. But I'm going to ask you to think about 10 or 20 years into the future. Things that you normally don't even have time to think about. Because that was what happened to me. Almost all my life I've been fascinated with the idea of computing. Ever since Star Trek. Ever since science fiction. But of course, a computer didn't seem to be an important part of my life. In fact, I couldn't imagine. I built a lot of little gadgets at home, receivers and transmitters and multiple tube units, but nothing as elaborate as a computer. So when I went to Berkeley and moved from physics, I looked to see if there was a computer science degree, and there wasn't. This was in 1950. There was no computer science degree. So I had to take electrical engineering as second choice. And I had a lot of fun there. I even got to teach one of the classes that was required for my degree, which was rather novel. And I learned a lot of things I really didn't care to know. Because I couldn't use it. I wasn't going to build engineering devices. I wanted to build a computer. Anyway, I finished my coursework and I decided to look for a thesis. So I went into the engineering department, engineering library. And I came across, by the way, I recently started reading journals from the IEEE, the Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers. So I started to read serious literature, but anyway, I found this one article by a statistician who had been studying the only big computer in America at the time, which was at Princeton. He spent a lot of time studying that machine. Now, they had to use vacuum tubes in those days. Has any of you ever seen a vacuum tube? It's an obsolete device now. It looks like an electric light. It's about the size of your fist. And the way it works is it has a heater in it that's powered by electricity, which sends electrons into a cloud and is used as a switch to represent a 0 or a 1. As you can imagine, to build a computer out of vacuum tubes took 10 or 20,000 vacuum tubes. It isn't something you could do in your garage at home. Well, anyway, so I went in and I studied, this guy had studied the performance of the machine at Princeton, and he found out that every Monday when they turned the power on, the shock of the electricity into the heating element of this fragile tube burned out hundreds of these vacuum tubes. It took them, and the trouble is the only way you could find a burned out vacuum tube is to use the vacuum tubes, and it was a very tricky maneuver. It took all day Monday and sometimes Tuesday, even Wednesday before they got the darn machine working. So people couldn't get much work done. But finally, someone had the brilliant idea. Why don't we just leave the computer on all the time? Now, you'd probably do that right now for a different reason. But in this case, it kept the electric shock from being so severe when they never turned them on. Naturally, some would burn out, but there would be no shock like that. And so, but he came to the conclusion that these tubes, that these computers weren't very reliable. You couldn't use them because it took almost half the time to repair them. So somebody, when they got the idea of leaving it on all the time, the whole statistics changed. And the paper that I was reading was obsolete. And so I thought, well, maybe there's hope. Maybe I'll be able to get my hands on a computer before my degree's finished. What actually happened is I put the magazine down about the failure. And on the same table at Berkeley was an announcement of a talk by Professor Husky, who had just spent a whole year at Princeton. And, well, obviously with one piece of paper saying you can't use a computer and the other said he spent a year there, I went to hear the talk. And he talked about an awful lot of things that I couldn't understand. But one thing he did mention is that I already told you, is that they left the machine on all the time, and that made it reliable. After his talk, I went down and said that I enjoyed hearing his talk. I didn't tell him I understood it, but I enjoyed hearing it. And I said, you know, I'd really like to work on computers, but I just don't have the right background for it. Well, he said, nobody does. We'll take anybody. I said, sign me up. So I became one of the first computer scientists that was trained at Berkeley.
Oh.
And I got a chance to use computers. I won't even begin to tell you about his computer because it was such an interesting thing. It was built into a filing cabinet. It was in his bedroom. That was the first computer that I got my hands on, called the Bendix G15, which is completely obsolete now. So what am I really leading up to? It's really valuable to think a little bit more into the future than most of us have time to do. It's nice for you to learn how to use the things that are being done now, to do the work that people do now, because you've got to do your job right now. But you should spend some time thinking about 5, 10, 20 years in the future. What is medicine or whatever your job is going to be like in 20 years? And what can you be doing now to get ready for that long-term picture? So I'm trying to make people who are so busy right now they don't have time to do hardly what they're doing. I'm trying to add another job to your task. And I really mean that that's the only way I can help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Let's give a minute for evaluations.